Thank you for staying with the Hallowed Chambers, and my guest today is a member of the House of Representatives. His name is Honourable Gbefwi Jonathan, and he represents Karu, Kefi, and Kokona Federal Constituency of Nasarawa State. And he is also the chairman of the House Committee on Solid Minerals Development. Thank you for joining us on the Hallowed Chambers.
Thank you.
As the chairman of this critical committee on mines and steel sector, as the country is looking forward to diversifying away from oil, how has legislation as regarding the National Assembly helped, to support the government in diversifying its revenue base?
Thank you very much, and thank you, Nigerian, for this opportunity. Indeed, the 10th Assembly has been awake to its responsibilities, because when we were first inaugurated, what we did was to embark on a retreat, at which point we actually dissected and took an analysis, an in-depth one, of what the challenges of the sector are. And of course, you cannot reinvent the wheel. In the 1960s, the solid mineral sector was actually accounting for most of the GDP of this country. But today, otherwise is the case. So what we did was to take an in-depth analysis of where we are and where we need to be. And of course, we drew up a legislative agenda, which we've been working with. Now, so many motions have come up on the floor, but I would want to emphasize on the bills. We have about 3 to 4 bills that have been referred to our committee, but of utmost importance of these bills are 2 or 3. There is the repeal and the reenactment of the 2007 Mining Act and the enactment of the 2023, which is an overhaul of the mining sector. We realize that things that are plaguing the mining sector are not things that are not known to us. Don't forget that the petroleum sector is the same extractive sector like the mining sector. So things like theft, illegal mining, is one of the greatest impediments to Nigeria enjoying its maximum utility of the solid mineral sector. And don't forget that the 2007 Act designed mining to be a self-reporting space, a self-reporting activity. The most comparable activity to this would be tax, FIRS, where it's self-assessing, just like the Minerals Office. But it will shock you that today, the FIRS have over 276 offices. They have over 3,000 staff. So what we are proposed is for the establishment of a Minerals Inspectorate Department that will be responsible for the inspections of mineral sites and equally responsible for following up on environmental compliance to make sure that this mines office and these mines activities do not leave us with the short end of the stick after mining is completed.
But some civil groups have actually pushed for 10% instead of 5%, to make these mining companies more responsible. Don't you think this is something that should be considered to avoid a case of degradation of the environment, just like we see it in the Niger Delta region?
Personally, I would love to agitate for 10% because these are my constituents. That is home for me. But the truth is that we must be mindful of the fact that mining is a very capital intensive venture. A lot of money is actually put into it before you begin to realize what you have invested into it. And equally, mining is long term. Let's not be quick to look at 10%. But when you see what 10% or even 5% translates to in terms of naira, kobo, and dollars, it's a lot of money. And if well utilized, I can assure you will change the fortunes of any mining community.
Okay, so how about the case of insecurity in these mines? How would this bill, check the security level and ensure that miners at that level, are properly secured?
The truth is that, unfortunately, we're in a very bad place right now with regards to the mining sector. and security. So much investigations. Recently, the Nigerian Defense College actually just came up with a paper that showed there's a direct correlation between illegal mining and insecurity. But I believe this can be checked. Now, with the agency which I mentioned, when you have this amount of monitoring on the ground, it makes the operators much more responsible. At the same time, we have to reinitiate the mines police with the Nigerian police and also the mine marshals that the minister recently flagged off with the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps to bring about adequate policing of our unoccupied spaces in this country, because mining actually takes place in the interiors. Ab initio, I would actually move or propose that a joint committee with the military to first sweep out all these spaces happens first and foremost. When that is done, the military can withdraw back to the barracks and leave civil enforcers of the law, who are, of course, the NCDC, which is the civil defense, as well as the police force, to carry on with the assignment. There's also a law that is before the House for the establishment of a mining corps that would equally take care of policing mining, but that has not been passed into law, but it's something that is in the pipeline as well. So yes, a lot of emphasis must be placed on the security with regards to mining, but I believe first, by putting in an agency that will do a lot of monitoring and deploying IT, deploying advanced technology that we can use aerial photographs real time to be able to determine where these illegal mining and illicit activities are taking place. And lastly, having a strong collaboration. Maybe you have central network areas whereby information can be passed to this the mining police as well as the mining marshals, so that they can deploy immediately and nip it in the bud. Now, another thing that these agencies will do, the mines inspectorate, is to actually set up things like roadblocks interstate, so that you can actually track the movement of these solid minerals.
And some of these mining activities are still being done locally by these local miners. What is being done to improve, the functionality of the local miners?
We call them artisanal.
In terms of maybe technology and stuff like that.
We call them artisanal miners, and the government has actually gone a long way to see how we can formalize activities of artisanal miners. The truth is that in Nigeria today, artisanal miners, I will say, account for over 80% of the mining activity happening in Nigeria today. So they are not a set of people you can just wish away with the wave of a hand. So yes, the government is taking steps to see how they can group them into cooperatives. In the law, we put a provision where artisanal miners should actually come and collect some sort of permits. The most important thing is be able to get them into our database. Once they're into the database of the country, of the ministry, then, or the agency rather, you can begin to monitor the activities, making sure they pay the necessary royalties, making sure you know who they are, you can identify where the produce is coming from, so that even when you're exporting, there's a trail, and you can trail and follow the money.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We still have more to discuss, but we'll do that after this quick break. Don't go anywhere. We still have more for you on this program. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Life is politics. In Nigeria, almost every part of our lives is touched by the politics we play. Governance, legislative matters, the economy, security, foreign affairs, internal affairs. Have a feel as strategic plays in the political space determine how we live in Nigeria. The players, the drama, chess piece moves. Be kept informed Watch analysis of major happenings in the political space and how it affects you. Watch Politics on Sunday.
Glad to have you back. If you're just joining us, we have been speaking with Honourable Jonathan Gbefwi from Nasarawa State. Now, moving away from the mining sector, talking about, the recent activities in the country. The country was recently put on the edge with the protests, concerning the hard, what people have to deal with, the living conditions and everything. What conversations are the leaders beginning to have with citizens to, calm their nerves and also help to relieve their sufferings?
Okay, I must first and foremost applaud the level of empathy that a lot of leaders have shown. I can, of course, speak for the House of Representatives, where the Speaker himself held a youth meeting, a youth dialogue with the youths to actually assuage them and help them appreciate that their pain is actually our pain. And I indeed empathize with the people of Nigeria. It's a difficult period. It's heartbreaking when you hear of what a lot of my constituents go through. You hear constituents asking for funds or interventions to get by just for the day, and they're not asking for luxuries or anything. They're asking for food. I do appreciate, just as I said, the fact that I believe there are responsive reactions that have been taken. For instance, the 1-2 things that have been put in place by way of interventions for trade, interventions for schools, interventions for even palliatives, but I believe more is desired. Right now in this country, there is no gainsaying that a lot depends on foreign exchange, a lot depends on transportation, and at the same time it's all interwoven, because our foreign exchange is gotten from oil that is sold. There has to be a rethink. We have to start thinking of ways where we can block these leakages, strengthen our currency to a point that it will have a very positive impact on the day-to-day lives of every Nigerian. If you farm and you cannot transport your produce out, or the cost at which you transport your produce out is expensive, you'll be expected to sell these things at expensive rates. If we cannot secure our farming areas because of insecurity, there will be shortage of food supplies. So all of these things are things that are accumulating, but I would want to believe the government is taking steps to see how they can ameliorate these things that are happening. Just like the discussion we're having right now. How can we increase income from the solid mineral sector that will add to the GDP and strengthen our foreign exchange? These are discussions that we should be having. How can we increase and boost productivity? What are we doing to actually, as against distributing rice, increase the output capacity of our farmers? And how are we putting things in place that can strengthen storage and bring innovation into agriculture? These are discussions which we should be having. And I believe we're actually getting to the point where we're having them.
All right. Talking about the salaries that lawmakers earn, this has been brought to the front burner once again. If you know, it has stirred some controversy even after, the comments by the former President Olusegun Obasanjo about fixing these salaries for the lawmakers. Can you tell us what exactly do lawmakers earn? Maybe this can just put, the situation in proper perspective.
The good thing about it is that there's the Freedom of Information Act. The National Assembly is open. Anybody can walk into the accounts department of the National Assembly and ask what they earn. The TVC is part of the press corps of the National Assembly. The House spokesman has gone over this over and over and over again. There's nothing hidden. Anybody that is interested, you could actually do a journalistic research report. Go to the National Assembly, ask questions, you will get answers to
But
them.
some people believe that what is on paper is actually different from what comes into the accounts in terms of, allowances and stuff like that. And even some lawmakers have made some statements that actually maybe confirm this, allegations.
Journalistic investigation, keep to your ethics, go in there, do your research, you will get all the answers you need. I do not want to be another addition to this lawmaker said that lawmaker said that, which you have just alluded to. But I'll charge you, there's investigative journalism. Go into the National Assembly, do your investigation, ask the relevant questions, invoke the Freedom of Information Act, and you can put this to paid once and for all.
Well, we'll still stay on that salary topic, which is the House of Representatives had earlier, proposed a 50% slash of its salaries to help Nigerians, ease their sufferings. But some people are saying this is yet to be implemented, and they're saying maybe this could be a political stunt by the lawmakers. Is this true?
This is not the first time that the House of Representatives has identified and always stands with the people. Don't forget, during the COVID time, we actually took a slash to our salaries and they were paid. But as everybody knows, in every government system of accounting, by the 15th or the 16th of every month, salaries are already prepared and paid. Now, I would want to believe that for that very first month, why it did not reflect was that resolution was passed far into the month of July. Thereby, salaries had already been paid and sent. But subsequent months, I can assure you that the House of Representatives is one that stands with the people and would always make good on whatever it says.
Just quickly, before we wrap up, what have you done for the people of your constituency, the people of Karo, Kefi, and Kokona Federal Constituency? How have they felt your impact as a legislator?
Now, I guess one of the greatest tests in every politician's life is re-election. And by God's grace, this is my third term in the House of Representatives. I guess I must be doing something right. But most of all, I make sure I empathize, make sure their pain is my pain. Of course, I am not the executive whereby I go and I have the power of the purse to lavish gifts or spread things here and there. No, but I empathize with them as much as possible. I hear their pain. What happens to be their concerns, I make sure I bring it to the front. I make sure I stand and I speak for them when I can. And of course, in lobbying for things to come to my constituency, in lobbying for how we could get jobs, seeing how we can attract and enlighten them to take advantage of packages that the federal government gives, and make sure I have them take advantage and enjoy such things. So overall, only the people can tell how well I'm doing. But I guess there's something I must be doing right by God's special grace for me to have gotten the privilege to serve them for another third term, of which I'm eternally grateful to God and to them for.
That is our program for today. Do not forget that you can see this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel. Also, watch a repeat broadcast on Sunday at 7 a.m. Thank you for watching. I am Tijesu Adeoye. See you next time.